So you want to play one of the best classes in the game, a class that will always be relevant at any point in the game, whether you're free to play or you're a big spender, or even if you want to play a for fun bonk build. Two things you need to know. In order to remain relevant as free to play, you're gonna want to go full support build. Now, there is some leeway into this. For example, during War of Imperium, I personally, as a guild leader, I don't care if somebody enjoys playing the bonk build a lot and that's what you just really want to roll with. That's what you have gear in. That's what you invested gear into. It's fine. As long as you're still resurrecting people, I personally don't care. Play what you think is fun for you. And number two, spending money does give you more options. ME is one of the strongest AoEs in the game. It's really hard to counter as well, especially after some investment. The current highest kill count in NA in War of Imperium right now is held by a ME priest by the name of Nehru. But let's get to the meat of the video, which is the builds. First off, we're going to start out with the bonk build. The agility based build, aka the fast auto attack build, really gets activated once you get your golden mace at level 50. So what do I mean by golden mace, right? NA calls it golden hammer, but I don't know about you, it looks like a mace to me. This is right here, it says golden hammer, looks like a mace. I'm going to call it a mace, right? The golden mace. Attack plus 141, damage to undead and demon monsters 50%, which is huge. It's the equivalent to an expensive card pretty much, right? And the key here is every 3 basic attacks generates 1 base level times 100 plus 400 flat points of holy damage. So that holy damage already gets increased by attacking undead or demon type monsters. But not only that, you also have your undead demon monster boosts over here. Plus, if you have your passive that boosts your damage to demon undead monsters as well, you can see how this class becomes very strong, right? And it's also really easy to build. It is also quite a menace in the early game PvP. Even bonk builds are, you could see priests chasing people down. It is your most low cost build. It's really good for MRing, surprisingly effective for MR. Some classes have sustained problems sometimes. With your heal, you don't have any of these problems as a battle priest. Now the stats for this one, the key lies in the every 3 basic attacks generates 1 base. So the key here is that it says every 3 basic attacks. So what you want to do is you want to maximize your agility. You want to invest everything into agility. Don't put anything into strength. Don't put anything into intelligence. Put everything into agility. Take advantage of this, like every 3 basic attacks, because that's where majority of your damage is going to come from. So you want to get out 3 basic attacks as fast as you can. Now the holy light into sanctuary build, you can start out with this build early because it does help you with healing your teammates when you do your sages, your Helheim runs as well. And the good thing about this build is that early on, not a lot of people are accustomed to it, but you can actually use sanctuary to level yourself with this build. So what do I mean by sanctuary? So let's say for example here, right? Spots like this for variant. Spots like this one over here, you have 3 variant, or you have some spots over here with the mummies. So you can actually autocast your sanctuary on yourself. You could have your macro in if you're using LD player or something like that, or auto clicker or what have you. So imagine this is sanctuary. You're gonna keep spamming it in place, right? You're gonna keep spamming it in place, and you're just gonna stack sanctuaries right on top of here on cooldown, right? You're gonna keep stacking it here, stacking it here. That way there's multiple stacked at the same time, and every time these mobs spawn, you're actually killing them. But not only that, and because you've invested everything into it thus far, what this does is that even though you're squishy, but because you have sanctuary on top of you the whole time, that means that you're actually healing yourself. So even without vitality, even if with the just basic gear that you get for free without spending, and I've tested this myself in the Taiwan server, you will not die, right? So that's the beauty of this build. That's the beauty of playing a priest, right? And you're gonna do this for other spots with undead in it as well. Towards the end of this video, I'll add a more basic leveling guide for you guys to follow as well. Now, I actually had kind of like a back and forth with somebody on this one where people were saying like, why would you level with sanctuary, right? It costs blue gems. It's going to cost you a lot, especially in the early game. Come here. Now, for those worried about blue gems being expensive, even without Freya or Monster Annihilation being implemented, you'll still have enough Eden coins to buy blue gems and have a lot left over. You can actually have enough left over to even leech one of your guild members or your friends. So if you want to expedite your early leveling at a small cost, this is how you do it, right? Okay, so the ME build, I mentioned earlier that it's very strong. Even the highest kill count in War of Imperium is held by an ME build. But what makes it strong? ME build, it's very decent for farming even early on. You don't have to be fully activated as an ME build to be effective, but it doesn't quite reach its max potential until you at least have a plus 15 ME staff. And let me show you why. The most crucial thing about this is when you get your holy stick to plus 15, it starts to ignore the target's magic defense, which is huge, which means that like now they can't build mitigation into it. The only other option that they have is having an Angel Link card, but I mean, not everybody's gonna have an Angel Link card, and because of the nature of how cards drop, chances are if that Angel Link card doesn't go to a tank, for example, your ME is still gonna hurt that person. So in order for this build to really carry, you're gonna have to invest quite a bit into it. But even with light spenders or even as free-to-play players who really just want to play ME, it's still a viable option. This plus 15 staff is by no means what bars you from playing this class, because it's still a pretty decent build regardless of the current upgrade of your staff. It is still holy element, so it will still do really good against undead. So if you're free to play, you might want to consider getting your healing staff, your DS staff, to like less than plus 10, maybe like plus 7, plus 8, plus 9 or whatever, and then pick your holy stick to be the main weapon that you're gonna try to test your luck and try to get to plus 15. And now for a more basic build that everybody can follow, it's a more linear path. Thanks to Mayari for helping me out on the script for this one, especially, and the information as well. Alright, so I'm gonna put it up on the screen over here. It's free-to-play friendly leveling. People can follow, and you can follow this too even if you're not free to play, if you so please. If you're spending, obviously this experience is gonna be a lot smoother for you. First thing is you're going to use your int build in the beginning for Holy Light Sanctuary, and you're gonna do this so you can be a heal bot for like Sage content, like which is like the dungeon, the quest part of the dungeon that you're gonna do early on before you can get to do the Helheim part of it. All you're gonna do here is you're just gonna pick a wand with the highest M attack. For example, right here, you're gonna get the Survivor's Rod, and then when you move up here later, you can go ahead and do the Staff of Piercing, for example, and maybe make yourself like a shield or some extra tankiness. This is good to have, that way when you're in the dungeon with them, there's some hits that you can survive, the others might not be able to. As long as you or your main DPS can get res, you guys will be fine. And when you become a priest, as long as you survive, obviously you can just res the rest of your party, and that way the party can survive and you can finish the dungeon in a timely manner. The number 2 part of this one is to do quests until you have no more quests to do. And number 3, you want to hunt elites that are about 6 to 15 levels above you. I know that before when I showed you guys the drops here, it says from 11 to 15 it only gives you 100%, right? But the thing is, like, elites that are 11 to 15 levels above you, just as a base level, they're going to give you more EXP, so that makes up, if not surpasses, the 10% bonus sometimes. So what you want to do here is you want to make sure that you're just kind of like in between these two tiers right here. And as you progress into the quest line, eventually you'll start doing the Sage books, right? And the first one you're going to be experiencing is the Northern Mutant Forest. Everybody is going to be looking for full supports. Even people who've spent money on the game, they're still going to need full support priests to carry them through these Sage books and Helheim card eventually. You're going to be very in demand as a full support priest, right? So I told you that you were going to pick the ones that give you the biggest M attack boost that you can get, right? Because at level 50, you're going to be experiencing the Bonk Build, right? So you're going to go ahead and craft the Golden Hammer. What this is going to do for you is it's going to be a very cheap alternative for you, so you can save up your Eden coins. Also, it's going to be the weapon that you're going to be using, or the build that you're going to be using for farming mobs for your MR when you're done with your dailies, when you're done with your combat time, or even if you're doing your combat time, you can also do this build because it is very effective and it does work. It works really, really well. And you're going to be using this build all throughout the rest of the game, especially when you're trying to get your MR up. And again, like what I said with the Bonk builds earlier, all you really want to do is just to maximize your agility, and that's it. Don't even think about anything else, just max agility and you'll be good to go. And once you get to level 70, this is where it starts to get interesting, because now level 70 cores are now unlocked. Even if you're free to play, and let's say you get lucky, you get an exorcism core, this is when you can start really building towards ME. What that's going to do is it's going to make your ME not have to take 4 seconds just to cast. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna want to get that, and then you're gonna want to put it enough dex to at least make your ME take only like 2 seconds to cast. But again, that's gonna be a guide for the level 71 and higher, or level 71 to 100 guide that we're gonna be making as soon as we know what the meta is, because the meta can shift, the meta can change. It's gonna take a while for us to get there, but when we do get there, just know that I'll be making the guide for those as well. That way we can be solid when it comes to the information that we have. And I know that like some people are going to be a little iffy because let's say you're free to play. Well, I'm free to play. I can't afford to make 2 weapons, and that's fine. When you get to 70, you're gonna have some choices. You're gonna have this if you're going bonk build specifically, and people are gonna be like, wait, well, I'm free to play. I can't afford to make 1, 2, 3 weapons, right? But that's fine. You're not gonna make this if you're full support. You're gonna be using the level 51 that you got. Trust me, that's gonna be good enough. You're gonna be deciding between these two, especially if you're free to play. You don't have to make the holy stick. You can make the Dia staff. Surprisingly, you can actually make the Dia staff, so you can be a good support still. Upgrade this and use it to ME. I know, surprising, but it does work. Trust me. I mean, I would hope you trust me because you came to my guide. Hopefully, at this point, you've gotten lucky enough to get the Exorcism core. You've got enough dexterity to make your ME casting time go down to 2 seconds. Then you're gonna go to Geffen Dungeon at this point. You're gonna go and ME Nightmares. You're gonna go ME some ghouls, and you're gonna be leveling quite fast. For this build, plus 10 at this point in the game is gonna be very easy to get as long as you've been active the whole time. Probably gonna have a plus 10 Dia staff. You're gonna be casting the same thing that you did with Sanctuary. You're just gonna keep stacking it like right on top of you. You're just gonna have to double stack 2 MEs on top of you. That way, when the mob spawns, they're gonna get hit by 2 ticks from 2 different MEs, right? And that's how you're gonna be able to kill these guys. Besides the obvious like one that you're gonna be picking out as a full support, like I told you earlier. For your armor, you're just gonna have to look for anything that would help your tankiness. That's like for shield, you want to go with fortified shield, make yourself a lot more tankier because obviously you don't have as much resources to upgrade your gear. You're gonna want to have tankier options for yourself. You're gonna go with the max HP, an adventure suit. Again, you want to survive because as long as you're surviving, your party is alive. You literally are the life of the party. If everybody else dies after you, there's nobody to res them. But as long as you're alive, you can res the whole party. Refined cape as well, max HP. As you can see, you're stacking HP. And if you were doing sanctuary grinding on Verit, for example, maybe you've gotten a Verit card. Oh, that's really nice. Because then guess what? Like you can get your refined greaves, you can get more HP, and with the Verit card, you can put the Verit card in there. You can kind of see how like that build ties in together with the farming spots, right? And when it comes to your armor, obviously you can have your Eden set, and when you get to like the level 50 armor sets, you can start going the tanky options. Obviously, you can have neutral damage 10 reduction 10% is pretty huge. Max HP plus 150 on a set effect, mind you. Make yourself a lot more tankier. Again, you're the life of the party. If you die, everybody else falls after. If you're alive, you can just keep getting everybody up. Now, if you are going the more offensive build at level 50, then you can always go for the magic coat, which is in plus 3 variable cast time minus 2%, and of course a 2-piece set effect, which is magic damage plus 3%. There's not a lot of variance in these builds, so you don't have to feel like if you choose the wrong one, like oh my god, it's gonna get messed up. It's not. A lot of these choices don't really matter up until later on, up to like 70 and higher. So don't feel like that if you're choosing, let's say like you really like the bonk build at level 50, right? You just really want a DPS as a bonk build. Like yeah, sure, by all means, like go with Morgane's cloak set, which gives you agility plus 1, fleet plus 3, for example, and the 2-piece set, which is agility plus 2, which gives you a little bit more attack speed. It's fine. It's like if you go either one of these routes, it doesn't matter. Even let's say like you're a bonk build, right? And you're like, oh wait, I messed up. I went the Mountain Ranger set. Oh my god, because physical damage plus 3, stun plus 1. It looked really good at first, but then I remember I'm like pure agility. What am I gonna do? I messed up my set. It's fine. None of these really matter at this early stage in the game. Your choices in here will affect you maybe for like a week or 2. You can change up your build later on. And again, later on, you're gonna want your spiritual rings. But again, how to obtain this one is pretty hard. Obviously, it's gonna be Frioni. It's gonna take a while for a server to be able to kill Frioni because the Frioni doesn't have a cap on his AoE, and it's gonna one-shot most people early game. So you're gonna want to maybe go for the 1-slot one, or no slot ones, and you can just go ahead and maybe get your bonk build ready, kill Jax, or you could opt for the 1-slot E-ring, which you can easily obtain by killing weaker mobs. But the most important one obviously is to have it 2 slots, for example, because cards are going to be quite huge. And obviously for shield, I would always advise to get immune shield, healing plus 10%, healing receipt plus 10%, grinded plus 6, you get another fit plus 2. What's not to love, right? That's the guide for priest level 1 to 70. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. If you have any questions, just drop it down on the comments below. Give a like, give a sub. It does help me out a lot. If you went through this whole video and got all the way to the end, you are an MVP. The watch time does help me out a lot. Thank you, everybody. Peace.